Hey guys, this is Jamie. So today I want to talk about, I guess, an unlikely Ukrainian ally. And before I go in, like I was on holiday, so I didn't get to spend time recording, and I was quite busy. So anyway, so now I'm back. So I wanted to talk about Laura Loomer specifically becoming pro-Ukraine for some reason, and I do have to say that it all feels like very sort of strategically timed because obviously, like, Lindsay Graham died, and he was very sort of, well, he was pro war in every possible sense, and he was very pro Ukraine as a Republican. And obviously, now that he's gone, I feel like that role needs to be filled by someone, and Laura Loomer, who is obviously like very anti-Trump, very Republican, very MAGA, can fill that spot. And obviously, she went to interview Zelensky. She went to Kiev. She was there for a week or something. And she understood sort of how it was to live there. And the question is like, well, she could have gone earlier. And I do understand that sort of her whole positioning, her being pro Ukraine, is simply couldn't come at a better time because obviously Russia is taking very heavy hits. There's the fuel crisis in Russia now. Like Moscow has a lot of drone strikes, and in general, like the situation has been turning more for the grim for Russia. And obviously, as someone of Ukrainian descent, I really hate them going war, and I just want it to end. And I kind of hate everything about it. Obviously, a lot of people like Trump and his party supporters are pro Putin because they sort of see Russia as this base sort of Christian country that it doesn't sort of go in with the deviants Europe, and they sort of take more. They used to take that side, but obviously now, like with Trump having problems with the Strait of Hormuz, with Iran, and sort of all the conflicts, I guess it makes more sense for him to take, or to take someone who's close to him and supports him to take a position which is closer to a winning position. And that's sort of how the cookie crumbles. But the problem is that at the end of the day, it's still bizarre to sort of think that Laura Loomer, someone who was so vocally anti-Ukraine, just takes a train, stays in Kiev for a few days, gets an interview from Zelensky, and just gets a thumbs up is really weird. And obviously, I also want to say, like, again, sort of to give more context to the war, like, Ukraine is also a very sort of not a progressive country. And like, I remember like when I was there, and it was very backwards. Sort of all that part of Eastern Europe is, so to sort of split Ukraine and Russia into two separate things is very bizarre, especially when it comes to progressiveness. And yeah, now because Ukraine is kind of closer to Europe, there might have been like more strides towards some equality, but this isn't really a big one, that much big of a difference, and everything is still very strict. But I just find it so interesting that sort of now MAGA sort of aligns themselves with Zelensky because they see like, oh yeah, he's winning. Oh yeah, like the drones are working. And it just feels like another way to sort of say, like, for Trump to sort of post or tweet and be like, oh, I've solved the 10th world war or whatever the fuck he's talking about. And that's the problem. But going back to sort of Laura Loomer and MAGA is just confusing, that sort of, well, it's not confusing because that's how the cookie crumbles. Because obviously she's going to support something that is easier to support. It's easier to go root for the winning side. But at the same time, the US has been very strict on sort of putting the support to Ukraine, obviously because Trump had issues with Biden, and he sort of really was against Biden helping Ukraine. So obviously he tries to take a step back and focus on whatever monstrosity crosses his mind, really, and whatever his supporters tell him to do. So unfortunately, I guess because it's easier to support a winning side now, and there is sort of no reason for a deeper dialogue with a losing side, or more of a losing side, like when it comes to Russia's Putin. Obviously they're just gonna feel out sort of the ground, see how is it. We send like the latest decoy instead of Lindsay Graham, or the person who's gonna support it, like in the form of Laura Loomer instead of Lindsay Graham, who died. And then we're gonna see like if it makes more sense to support further. But at the same time, like I think today there was a law passed that US won't be spending as much money on Ukraine even after Donald Trump's term. So all of this is lip service at the end of the day. So that's kind of what I wanted to focus on, what I wanted to say, that this is all just vocal support without any actual support. Like at the end of the day, Ukraine gets bombed, Ukraine gets artillery, Ukraine gets droned, the war continues. Obviously, the Nazism that was there, and even if it survived there, is barely there, and it's not going to be addressed by. It's not going to be stopped by another country invading them. So at the end of the day, all of this is just this war is done in vain. Um, it barely progressed. It barely went anywhere. It's just a bunch of resources, and people who earned money from war business got their money's worth, and everyone else just got fucked and people got killed, really. So that's pretty much it. And at the same time, sort of, we have so many different sides because people take a lot of sides. Like we have the Russian opposition, which sort of closed the eyes of Nazis. We have the Russians being pro-Ukraine in general. We have the Ukrainians, which are pro-Russia, pro-Ukraine. We have the Ukrainians, which started learning Ukrainian just now because of the war. And now we have like creepy Laura Loomer posting Zelensky interview. So it's like, great, we just need every side possible because, like the world is a kaleidoscope of everything. So yeah. So yeah, sorry, it's ended up kind of rambling all over the place, but I kind of wanted to sort of touch on what I think about the latest sort of Laura Loomer thing and the whole situation of the Ukraine war, because I feel like I haven't talked about it in a bit. And it is very surprising to me specifically that we're finally getting some sort of action, some sort of semblance of some parts of Ukraine advancing, and maybe we'll have the end of the war at some point. But yeah, that was pretty much what I wanted to say. I hope you enjoyed it. I've been very appreciative of all the support I've been getting, and I'm happy to discuss the war in the comments. Also, feel free to send this to someone who wants to hear, like opinion from a true Ukrainian or whatever. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you very much.